What if the most important warning in the Middle East wasn't aimed at Iran, but at ordinary Americans? And what if that warning signals that something far bigger than today's headlines could be unfolding? The United States has just issued an emergency warning for its citizens across the Middle East, a move that doesn't happen without serious concern. At the same time, tensions between the U.S., Iran, and Israel are rising again, military activity is increasing, and governments across the region are preparing for an uncertain future. But here's the question almost no one is asking. Why now? What changed so suddenly that Washington felt the need to tell Americans to be ready? Is this simply another precaution after months of regional instability? Or are officials seeing warning signs the public hasn't fully noticed yet? And perhaps the biggest question of all, could this emergency warning be the first indication that the conflict is approaching a dangerous new phase? In this documentary, we'll break down exactly what the U.S. warning says, what events led to it, why analysts are watching the region so closely, and what this could mean if tensions continue to escalate. Most importantly, by the end, we'll answer the question that ties everything together: why this warning may matter far beyond the Middle East. For millions of people, an embassy travel advisory may sound routine. Governments regularly update security guidance for citizens abroad. But every so often, a warning stands out, not because of what it says, but because of when it is issued. That's exactly why this latest U.S. advisory has drawn so much attention. The U.S. State Department has urged American citizens across parts of the Middle East to stay alert, closely monitor official embassy updates, and be prepared in case the security situation changes rapidly. Officials have also warned that travel disruptions, airspace restrictions, and sudden changes in local conditions could occur with little notice. On its own, that might seem like a standard precaution. But taken alongside the recent surge in military tensions involving the United States, Iran, and Israel, the timing becomes much more significant. Diplomats, intelligence analysts, and security experts often view these public advisories as one piece of a much larger picture. Governments don't issue them based on a single headline. They weigh intelligence reports, regional developments, military activity, and the possibility that events could change faster than civilians are able to react. That doesn't necessarily mean a wider conflict is inevitable, but it does suggest that officials believe the risk has become serious enough that Americans in the region should be prepared for unexpected developments. And that raises another important question. What exactly changed behind the scenes that prompted this warning now, after months of already high tensions? To answer that, we need to go back and examine the chain of events that brought the region to this point. Because this warning didn't appear out of nowhere. It followed a series of developments that have steadily increased the pressure across the Middle East. To understand why this warning has captured so much attention, we need to look beyond today's headlines. For months, the Middle East has been living under constant pressure. The conflict involving Israel and Iran has intensified, and the United States has repeatedly stated that it will protect its forces, its allies, and freedom of navigation in the region. Each new military incident has added another layer of uncertainty, making the situation increasingly difficult to predict. Then came a series of developments that changed the conversation. Military activity increased, security alerts spread across the region. Reports emerged of heightened readiness by U.S. and allied forces, while officials continued to warn that further escalation remained possible. None of these events alone confirmed that a larger war was about to begin, but together they painted a picture of a region under growing strain. This is where many people misunderstand how governments operate. Emergency advisories are often issued before the worst-case scenario unfolds, not after. Their purpose is to give citizens time to prepare in case conditions deteriorate quickly. In other words, the warning itself isn't proof that a major conflict is imminent. It reflects the possibility that events could change faster than normal. And that's what makes this moment so significant. If diplomats, intelligence agencies, and military planners are all paying closer attention, what are they seeing that the average person cannot? Could it be concerns over miscalculation, a fear that one strike could trigger a chain reaction, or simply recognition that the margin for error has become dangerously small? Those questions remain unanswered. But before we reveal why this warning may matter far beyond the Middle East, there's one final piece of the puzzle: the potential consequences if this fragile situation spirals further. And that's where the story becomes even more important. So what happens next? The honest answer is that no one knows for certain. And that's exactly why the latest U.S. warning has drawn so much attention. If tensions continue to rise, the consequences could extend far beyond Iran, Israel, or even the Middle East. One of the world's busiest energy corridors, the Strait of Hormuz, lies at the center of this crisis. A significant disruption there could affect global oil supplies, increase shipping costs, and push fuel prices higher around the world. Even countries thousands of miles away could feel the economic impact. But there's another danger that security experts worry about even more. Not a full-scale war, but a miscalculation. History has shown that major conflicts don't always begin with a planned declaration of war. Sometimes they start with a single mistake, an unexpected retaliation, or a rapid chain of events that no side originally intended. When multiple militaries are operating in close proximity, the risk of misunderstanding grows dramatically. And now we can answer the biggest question we raised at the beginning. Why did the United States issue this emergency warning now? Based on the publicly available information, the warning is not an announcement that war is inevitable. Instead, it reflects the U.S. government's assessment that the regional security environment has become unpredictable enough that American citizens should be prepared if conditions change rapidly. In other words, the warning is about preparedness, not certainty. That also answers another open loop. Is the U.S. seeing something the public doesn't? Governments routinely have access to intelligence that isn't released publicly. However, the exact information behind such advisories is rarely disclosed. So while the warning suggests officials are taking the risk seriously, it does not confirm that a major military operation is about to happen. And finally, what are most headlines missing? Many headlines focus on missiles, military movements, and political statements. But the real story is how quickly uncertainty itself can reshape an entire region. Emergency advisories, embassy alerts, and military readiness are all signs that governments are preparing for multiple possibilities, not predicting a single outcome. As this situation continues to evolve, one thing is clear. The Middle East remains at one of its most fragile moments in recent years. Whether diplomacy succeeds or tensions escalate will depend on decisions made in the coming days and weeks. Until then, the emergency warning serves as a reminder that in international crises, the first signs of danger are often not the explosions we see on television, but the quiet precautions governments take long before the world knows what comes next. If you found this breakdown helpful, consider subscribing for more in-depth, fact-based geopolitical documentaries that go beyond the headlines.